Hello, everyone, and welcome. Let me first share with you the link in case someone would like to join me here in the studio today, our virtual studio. And today, instead of focusing on an actual task, we're going to focus on creating an immediate priorities matrix, which is actually a tool and a method for helping us manage competing priorities. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So, therefore, we're going to take, if you can, we're going to use the usual syntax, which is writing down that now, so we use the now keyword, we are going to focus on the immediate priorities matrix, and our intention is to stay focused on this task for 15 minutes. So this is where the 15 minutes come into place. And to help us stay focused, we're going to use the usual timer. So this is the timer, and now we're in this task. So I'm gonna guide you through today, unlike the other days when we pretty much just focus on a task of our own. Today I'm gonna guide you through how you prepare the matrix and give you some tips along the way. So the first part would be to reflect on what are the important priorities that you have for, let's say, this week and maybe even next week. So for now, why don't you make a list of those top, let's say, top 3 to 5 priorities. For the time we have today, let's just focus on the top 3 to 5 priorities. So make a list of those right here. So I'll give you 15-20 seconds to start that list. And again, they can be tasks that are important. They can be bigger projects. They can be smaller, very small tasks. It's whatever is on your plate for this week and next week, and things that are pretty important. So hopefully you got the top 3 to 5 and you're ready to proceed with the steps of creating the immediate priorities matrix. So this one we can do on a separate, you can do it on the same journal if you're doing this on paper, or you can do it electronically, whatever works for you. So in this case, what we're going to do is in the first column of the matrix, we're going to put the first priority first. So whatever the first priority you created in that list, we're gonna take that first priority and then break it down into smaller steps. And that could be 1 or 2 steps, 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4, whatever number of steps it makes sense. So this is what we call the breakdown column. And I'm going to give you a chance to do so, to break it down into 2 or 3 or 4, whatever number of steps are necessary. And when you're done with this breakdown, we get to the next column, which is identifying the immediate. So which would be the immediate step that needs to be done first before we can do the rest of the steps, and pretty much jotting down the immediate step. Now, occasionally it could be a couple of things that need to happen first, in which case, please go ahead and put a couple of things in this column. So this is the immediate column. And when you're ready, let's estimate how long it would take to do the immediate and put the estimate right here. So this would be the next column. And then the last column, which would be the deadline. If there is a deadline for this immediate, this is a deadline for the immediate. So it's either a deadline, if there is a real deadline, or it could be a target completion date that you would like to have. So you would put that in this last column. So then we're going to do pretty much the same thing for your number two priority. And again, I'm going to give you a little time to do this as we speak. So breaking it down into smaller steps. If it's a big priority, these steps could be actually tasks. If it's a small priority, these steps could be pretty much small tasks or subtasks, or you can call them steps. So basically breaking it down into smaller components that are more easily actionable. And then the immediate and the estimate and then the deadline. And then when you're done with this, the same thing for the third priority. Okay, and I'm gonna take more time. I'll take a little bit of time explaining to you the last step, and then in the remainder of the time, and I think we're gonna have plenty of time. I think we have 9 more minutes to go. The idea is for you to complete this immediate priorities matrix, and have your priorities much more in order. And tomorrow, those who join me tomorrow, we're going to give you some more insights into how to make this really work in the real world. So now when you finish these steps, this is what you want to do. And this is really the crucial part. When you finish putting down the immediate priorities matrix, the very important part is what happens next, which is we're going to go to the calendar and pretty much schedule time for the immediate steps. So basically for each one of these, for the one you put for the first priority, you're gonna find some time on the calendar and block that time to do it. So this one, I may want to work on it for half an hour tomorrow mid-morning. So I'm going to block time on my calendar and include the name of this step in my calendar appointment. So I'm very clear on what this time is for. And then I'm going to block time for this. So maybe this one I'd like to schedule sometime the next morning, and this one the next afternoon. So now I have my priorities visible on my calendar, and therefore I'm going to be able to first know how busy and committed my time is, so how much more I can take or not take. I'm also going to have these, be in the forefront on my mind as opposed to being hidden in a to-do list or some other format. And it's gonna also elevate my commitment and self-accountability to these items. So a lot can happen when we put these priorities on the calendar. So in the remaining time, so I have around 7 minutes, this is a great time for you to finish the matrix and to do the scheduling. So if you had 4 or 5 or more priorities, or if you didn't get a chance to do all this breakdown and estimate and deadline, this is a great time to finish the matrix. And if you feel like you've done enough of it and you're ready to maybe take on one of these tasks, it's an opportunity potentially to take on one of those. So you could go back to the now page, and you could include here that you finish this. So you put that check mark, and if you remember, not just putting the check mark, but having that mindful moment of acknowledging what you just accomplished. And then you can start Now you can start a new now tag and put the name of that step or task that you decide to focus on and start your next 15 minutes. Obviously, you would need to start your own timer. Okay, so let's continue and then we'll touch base at the end, giving you a little pat on the back for being with us today and doing this. And maybe we'll have time for an extra tip or two. All right, so this is the time to give that pat on the back for being in this one task for 15 minutes, and hope those of you who followed along and prepared the matrix, hope you found it useful, and it's going to be useful moving forward. And yeah, thank you. I saw from Julie that this was a nice reminder. Yes, this is one of the tools that we have in many of the workshops, and it's one of the very popular ones because it really helps us um, focus and in advance help us think about what's coming up and be more prepared for it. Now, sometimes some participants in the workshop say, but priorities change all the time. And that's okay. If they change, at least we know the ones that are not changing, and therefore we have more room and more mind capacity to deal with the ones that change. So, change is not a reason not to plan, it's actually a reason to plan. So, we can have more room to be able to work with the change. And then, and then the other thing I want to mention is this. This is also a way of thinking. So let's say things change and suddenly a whole new priority got dropped on you, which happens all the time. So basically, what you can do, you can spend a couple minutes breaking it down into smaller steps, identify what's the immediate step, estimate the duration, and either put the deadline or jump into the calendar and block time for it. So this becomes a way of thinking and a great way to handle the unexpected. So let's see what Paul shared with us. Oh, great, Paul. Congratulations on the new book. I would love to hear more about it and also share with our community about it. So yeah, I'll email you my address and would love to get it. So feel free to let me put my email here. I think we're connected, but just in case. And anyone who has follow-up questions, feel free to get in touch, and I look forward to having everyone hopefully tomorrow, same time, same place. And I'll also share with you our Hello Mindful webpage where you can see more resources related to the timer and the e-course and everything else related to the 15-minute method. All right, have a great afternoon, everyone, and take care. And thank you for joining today.